Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're joining us today. I'm Jim Barnhart, Assistant to the Administrator in USAID's Bureau for Resilience and Food Security, as well as the Deputy Coordinator for Development for Feed the Future. It's great to speak with you. I'm excited that Feed the Future is able to host this virtual conference today. There's a stellar lineup of speakers and activities, and I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion. The ICTforAg conference brings together two topics that are central to USAID's development activity: agriculture and digital technology. The hard work of farming is often overlooked in our modern age, and having the right resources and support makes all the difference when you're out in the field, particularly for smallholder farmers for whom digital tools can be a game changer. For example, digital communication simplifies transactions and provides a way to share information quickly and safely. Easy and accurate access to weather forecasting helps to inform appropriate times to plant or to harvest crops, and early warning and predictive analytics have been helpful in addressing some aspects of the locust infestation we're confronting now in East Africa. We know how important these features are in the middle of a global pandemic, and I can't overstate how much agriculture and food security have been hit by COVID-19. The second-order shocks to global food supply chains have been devastating. More than 100 million people are at risk of chronic hunger, and the pandemic has rolled back years of development progress. Women have been disproportionately impacted by these shocks. Prior to the pandemic, their potential to be powerful agents of change were already hampered by limited access to markets and information. This gender divide will widen if we don't take concerted efforts now to create more open, inclusive, and digital ecosystems. And that's why USAID is focusing on making it easier for smallholder farmers, many of whom are women, and accompanying private sector companies to do business, both during the pandemic and after. Digital technology is the key to achieving this vision. We're working towards this vision through our digital strategy, which the agency launched back in April, and it maps out how we are prioritizing digital in our humanitarian and development programs going forward. In short, the strategy is a testament to how much we believe in the potential of digital technologies. And for food security, this strategy has big implications. The people we serve aren't just seeing our assistance in the form of food and water donations or governance programs. They're seeing it on their mobile devices. I'm talking about apps and tools that reduce crop loss, decrease herd death, increase yields, share price and other information, prevent storage, and increase incomes. We have evidence from our impact assessments that linking smallholder farmers to digital technologies can increase household income by 20 to 40% due to larger yields and better access to markets. I'll repeat that. Bringing digital technology to smallholder farmers can increase household income by 20 to 40%. These are enormous wins that produce long-term benefits for smallholder farmers around the world. We've already seen the impact of digital in agriculture practice. One of USAID's programs in Honduras, called the Coffee Alliance, developed a virtual training program to assist 5,400 smallholder farmers who were facing mobility restrictions during the pandemic. The digital channels provided technical assistance to improve coffee production and business practices. And when we looked at the statistics afterwards, we found that digital tools doubled the number of women able to access services through the Coffee Alliance. This is the power of digital at work. Sustainable long-term impact in the form of digital technology is just one way we empower countries on their journeys to self-reliance. And these journeys cannot happen without strengthening digital ecosystems that are open, inclusive, and secure. And today we will have important discussions on how we can achieve these goals. I'm excited to see what we can accomplish together. Thank you.
In keeping with the theme of looking at disruptions, our next keynote session, Digital Mitigation of Ongoing Climate Disruptions, will look specifically at how climate change has impacted our farmers, our agricultural value chain, and our access to secure and stable food systems. Stay tuned to hear about how we can use digital technologies to create a more resilient food system in the wake of climate shocks.
Welcome to our session, Digital Mitigation of Ongoing Climate Disruptions. I'm Alana McGinty, a Senior Program Manager with the USAID Digital Frontiers Project, joining from Washington, D.C. In my role, I have the pleasure of managing the work we do with the USAID Bureau for Resilience and Food Security, from digital agriculture assessments to convening the sector for exciting events like ICTforAg 2020. The focus of our panel today is really around the following. As climate changes, farmers and agriculture value chains face ever-changing challenges across many factors of their operation. Today, we're exploring what opportunities do ICT solutions present to address these disruptions, and how can we take advantage of the ability to see and react to the world using digital solutions. I'm happy to introduce our incredible panelists who are joining us today from around the globe. Amy Kebe, founder and CEO of Jokalante, joining us from Dakar, Senegal, who will speak on delivering climate information to smallholder farmers and fishermen. And Simon Schwal, founder and CEO of Oko Assurance, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel, who will speak on how Oko Assurance helps farmers manage uncertainty, especially as it relates to climate change. Amy, you're kicking us off first today.
Today, I will present our new services around climate information for farmers, a smallholder farmer living in Senegal. We start a pilot this year with the help of USAID through ICRISAT research organization who work with the National Agency of Meteo, ANASIM, about the durability and sustainability of services around climate information. So first, I want to present Jokalante. What we try to solve through our solution is, if we look at our target people living in rural area, we know that there is like 70% of Senegalese population who has basic or no existing school level and can't write or can't read, but they speak their local languages. So with all this lack of school level and the incapacity to write and read, they also miss some information in their sector of activity and the opportunity and services in their localities, which has a direct impact in the decision making, and also this can be difficult for organizations working with these target people. So what we propose as a social enterprise is how ICT can create value information for this person and create an interaction between organization and people living in rural area around an adapted information, adapted to technologies, adapted to their languages, to their level of school, or education, to the organization, to the infrastructure and activities, and that will help this person taking better decision, but also seeing all the value around their activities. So since 2 years, Jokalante work with the Meteo Agency, National Meteo Agency, with the help of SECAF, who support us to disseminate information through our platform, climate information in local languages, to farmers and fishermen. It's like around 6,000 person in our database who receive climate information every week, every day in local language directly to their mobile phone. Because with our solution, it's like a toolbox. And this toolbox, we use mainly voice messages in local languages, SMS, not really, because our main people and our main target is people living in rural area. We start just introducing WhatsApp because it is a new technology for rural persons. They start using it, and we know like in Senegal, 20% of people living in rural area at least have connect to one time in the month. We use really a lot community radio. As you know, community radio is a tool, a very powerful tool for local communities because they create uh, this tool for them, and that's the way they communicate between them and all the activities. This radio know what is the social background of the community and know how to communicate with them. We are with this Nafora, what I will present, we will introduce also an USSD for climate information and advices in agriculture. And we have also a tab app and data collection system with all the report. So Nafora is in Pular. That means something useful in English. and I want to say sorry for my English, but yeah, in English it is something useful for a person. That's Nafora. It's in Pular language. Pular is really Pular people are really how I can say that in English. They represent a big portion of the population here in Senegal. So Nafora is an integrated solution for local farmer organization to optimize their services for smallholder farmer and help them be more resilient. And when we talk about resilience, it's resilience economic in an economic sector for their activities, in their health, being more open to information and use this information to make better decisions. So we know that climate information with all the impact of climate changes impact a lot, and not in a positive way, people living in rural area and mostly farmers. So since 2 years, we work with this farmer and ANASIM, the Meteo Agency, to get them using the climate information services and take a better decision and prepare themselves in their activities. So the main objective is to sustainably democratize access to climate information for a better resilience of local populations, particularly farmers and fishermen. So we provide these farmers information with useful and adapted agriculture advice for better production, and ensures that this population has access to climate information in local languages according to geographic location and profession for better decision making, but also provide to fishermen with advice for better decision making. For them, it's more tricky because it's about life. If you miss the information, you can lose your life. So climate information is a key for them. So what we observe what we also observe as a problem at first, it is we have so many cooperative, local cooperative, agriculture cooperative, and farmer organization, but certainly a lack of fluidity of information within the organization for all their members. If you have, for example, 10,000 members in one farmer organization, you know that certainly 500 or 1,000 at most receive the right information to take the decision or to participate in, around the activities for the farmer organization. We know also that the lack of integration for climate information in decision making is a really key. It is not available, but the short periodicity to receive the climate information, also, how I can say, the insufficient climate product, because we can see it will rain today, but maybe the farmer need more type of climate product to take decision, and also they will not receive an adapted advice associated to this climate information. And a lot of cost to disseminate also the information through the members, because in Senegal, traditionally to disseminate an information, we organize field mission, maybe some calls, which cost a lot. And you will not reach all the members is also a problem. And other problem is we don't have in our local organization an accurate database of members. So the right information, what this person who are a member of our organization, what this smallholder farmer who are part of our organization really need, we don't have this accurate information to adapt to the information they will receive. So that's what we observe. So yeah, so what from that we work with local cooperative and local organization. It's a choice. I need to say that it is a choice to work directly through a business cooperative to set up the services with them, because if we choose to go to farmer, it will be so disparate, not really organized. But with the cooperative, we know every farmer at least is part of one local cooperative. So we choose to pass and to work with this organization to reach smallholder farmer. So we categorize the type of information this farmer will need, and also the fisherman. So if you see, we need at least the entry point is climate information, but connected to an adapted agriculture advice and information on inputs and prices, fund if it's available, insurance information, information of market price, information on the activity of the network. This is like a package of information they will need, and the entry point is climate information, and that is the same for fishermen. So yeah, in this climate information services, Nafora is integrated in three parts. Climate information services in local language as I explained, subscription per campaign for farmer, because we know Senegal, the raining season is very short. It's at most 3 months, 4 months, but the preparation is like on June, on May. So it's a 5-6 months at most for farmers who work in cereal value chain to subscribe to these services. They can subscribe per month or per year for fishermen, because this sector is less organized with their organization. And what we do at first is profiling target customers. So after that, all the other part is we will digitalize all the advisory content in agriculture per value chain. That's now where we are. It is working with researchers, local organization, agriculture, technical agriculture, and Jokalante, the ICT specialist, the agents of climate information to adapt in every value chain what type of advice we can link to climate information services. But also personalization of the advice for farmer, because farmer can send us in his local languages his location, the need on climate information, the type of seed they are using, and some other information to get a more personal advice. And also, we have, this is really new, a call center, but it's really a center, a Nafora center, with operator who will receive the request from farmer, and from this request, we link the operator to technical advisor in local cooperative, so they will give the right answer adapted to the locality to respond to the request of the farmer. But also, this is a way, if the first part of, the first part of the system is to push a message in local language, but if a farmer need right now the climate information, they can call this short number, Nafora Center, and get the right information adapted to their location. So that's the three part what we are doing through this project in the pilot. So the tech aspect is we have one platform in run as a software as a services. So every local cooperative has its own session, and we send voice message in local language by cooperative, by region, and call directly to mobile phone to these farmer members, and also WhatsApp for those who has the application. We collect the feedback for every cooperative. If farmer want to ask a question to their cooperative, they can, but also all this specialization on agriculture, and also an interactive voice response system for user to listen the record climate information if they can't call. So the business model is B2B2C, because Jokalante as a business in partnership with ANASIM, the climate agency governmental, work with local cooperative to reach the farmer who are the end customer. So the cost of the service is integrated in the cost of an entrance because inputs, that's the right word in English, of input, because local cooperative accept that climate information is an input as seed, as a phytosanitary, and other machine agriculture. Climate information is also a right inputs to that they will include in the cost. So after we have the B2B model, it is like an organization who work with farmers directly, can subscribe for all of them and pay in one shot before we run the campaign. So all this is based in a revenue sharing in a public-private partnership between the National Climate Agency, Jokalante, and the local cooperative. And we include also the operators with a possibility to pay per mobile airtime for USSD solution and call center. So we start this pilot on July, August. And since that, we have like 8,933 person who buy the services through the cooperative, and 2021 will be the scale-up phase. Said with the Feed the Future program and ICRISAT as an international crop research institute, and also the International Agency of Climate. Yeah, and if you have question, I'm ready. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Simon, the CEO and founder of OCO. And maybe let me start this presentation by asking you a question. How would you feel if I told you that if it doesn't rain by the end of this week, you will lose all your income for the next 6 months? It would feel unfair, right? Well, that is the situation for billions of people around the world who live from unirrigated farming. So we built OCO to secure the income of farmers globally using a new kind of insurance product. Because you see, insurance is not available to farmers outside Western economies. And it is easy to understand why. Bringing insurance to a smallholder farmer in a rural area is expensive. It doesn't make economical sense to send an expert for a few hours to measure the losses for a farm that will only generate a few tens of dollars in premium. Adding to this is the cost of collecting that premium and the lack of available data to measure the risk. So if insurers were to offer traditional insurance to these farmers, its price would exceed by far their willingness to pay. But thankfully, there are now solutions to overcome this challenge. So the ubiquity of data led to a new form of insurance called index insurance or parametric insurance. The idea with this new kind of insurance is that the claim payment is not linked to an on-site inspection, but rather to data observation. So at OCO, we use this concept in a clever way to automate crop insurance. It works very simply. So first, farmers pay an affordable premium, in our case, using their mobile phone. And next, at OCO, we monitor the weather at the location of the farm. At the end, at the end of the season, there are two possibilities, two outcomes that are possible. Either it was a good season with a good amount of rain, in which case no payout is necessary. But if we observe that in this area there was a drought, for example, or a flood, then we automatically compensate farmers. And the beauty with this is that farmers don't even need to make a claim. They receive the information on their phone via SMS that they are eligible because the area has been affected. Now, I mentioned mobile payments, and that is quite key to us because the huge majority of our customers are in rural areas in emerging countries. They have no internet and no bank accounts. So we developed a solution that allows them to access insurance from their existing device without internet connection. It leverages the mobile money technology that has been so successful in Africa. So what you've been seeing on screen is this customer journey. You can see that you can access it with a USSD code. And here on screen, you can see the detail of the insurance policy, the policy number, the name, the amount to pay, the amount left to pay. So this is accessible from any device, even without a smartphone, even without internet connection. The potential market is huge. It is basically a blue ocean, as only less than 3% of farmers in sub-Saharan Africa have access to insurance today. Assuming each of these 400 million unirrigated farms pay around $45 per year in insurance, that translates into an $18 billion opportunity. And as OCO takes a 30% commission on this premium, the total addressable market is about $5.4 billion yearly. There are other players on these segments, but most often they are startups, sometimes large insurance companies as well, but mostly startups. Most of them failed so far to gain sufficient market traction as they are missing the distribution solution. They design the insurance product, but they don't have the tools to distribute it to the last mile. So OCO is different in that way that we are fully mobile centric, and therefore we are universally accessible. For example, if you want to have an insurance in Kenya with Acre Africa, you need to be part of a cooperative who is partnering with Eco Africa, or have a loan with a microfinance organization that is partnering with them. In our case, you just need to have a mobile. You have no other barrier to eligibility. So we are positioned as an insurance broker. We're not an insurance company ourselves. So we design the insurance product, and then we partner with a local insurance company that has a license to provide insurance in the market. We take a commission out of the revenue we generate, and we don't carry the risk. That's left to the insurer and insurer. But what we do is we do everything else. We do the distribution. We're using a network of agents that we train, that we equip with mobile phones, with smartphones, sorry. We do the premium collections, as you saw, using mobile money. We have a user interface on SMS, voice messages, on WhatsApp, because as Amy was saying, WhatsApp is kind of the most used channel for people who have a smartphone. So 30% of our user base is communicating with WhatsApp already. We do the claim validation and the claim settlement. We are already active in Mali and in Uganda. We have about 2,000 customers, paying customers to date. And our ambition is to build on this traction to reach a total of 30,000 customers by the end of next June, and 1 million customers by 2025. So we have ambitious goals, but even with 1 million customers, that would only be 0.3% of the addressable market. So we still have a long way to go to bring insurance to all the farmers. As an added benefit to our insured farmers, we also negotiate for them better rates for microloans. We know that this is a key issue for farmers, access to loans. And because we reduce their risk of non-repayments, we are in a good position to negotiate for them easier access or better rates to microloans. And that's also a key component to convince farmers to get insured. Often they've never been insured, they don't know what insurance is, but if they know that with insurance they will have access to loans more easily, then it's a win. It's a big win for them. While our core model is B2C, collecting payments directly from farmers, large agro industries are also interested in partnering with us. This is because they are under growing pressure to improve sustainability of their model and impact positively their value chain. So we partnered with AB InBev, the largest beer company in the world, with Touton, who imports coffee, cocoa, and vanilla from Africa. And we brought insurance to their producers in Uganda. These partnerships, alongside with the partnerships we signed with Allianz and Orange, allow us to easily expand to most markets in Africa. And we built a team around this ambition. We have Mariam, who was recognized as a key young African leader by the Washington Mandela Foundation. Raphael, who brings 5 years of actual expertise. Sharjad, who worked from at the One Acre Fund before. And myself, I have already spent the past 5 years in the microinsurance industry with strong achievements under my belt. I will end this presentation by inviting you to contact us. We are keen to work with initiatives that aim at empowering financially empowering small farmers or improving climate resilience. So yeah, please come connect with us, and we would be super happy to build a strong alliance and team to bring an impactful insurance product to these farmers that are in a very vulnerable situation right now. Thank you.
Thank you both for your presentations. I personally learned a lot, and it gave me a lot of information actually to dig into further after this panel. Amy, you said something that I thought was really powerful, which is that climate information is life. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to hear from both of you, what in your perspective does digital still need to do to address the mitigation of climate change? And how can we drive those initiatives? If climate information is life, what are some of the gaps that you're still seeing in terms of getting that critical information to farmers?
So, okay, maybe I'll start, because I have a few things that come to my mind already. So we have a few obstacles. One is obviously the mobile connectivity. So there are still parts of rural areas that are not connected or that struggle to find a connection, and not even data, but also simple connection. Data is then another issue. Often when there is connectivity, it's still very expensive for farmers to access, to charge their phone, to have data credit to use. And these are barriers because a lot of farmers, in Mali at least, are illiterate. So they cannot really interact with text messages, for example. So having access to data, having access to smartphones can unlock a lot of potential because suddenly we could send voice messages on WhatsApp, for example. We start doing this. We can send videos, we can send images. We can use the local language, which is not necessarily written, or when it's written, it's not using the traditional characters, so we can use an image instead. So all of this are very basic barriers that ICT could help annihilate, so that everyone can have access to vital information.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, I agree with Simon, and I want to add also the part of using technologies in our traditional farmer organizations. That is not something now here. So we need our first obstacles is to integrate the technology in daily habits, and get this organization to be the ambassador and use it in their daily activities. And other thing, it is around all using technologies, you can have an accurate information for this farmer who buy first, but we try now how to get another one, share the information between them in traditional way, and that is all this problem is linked to what Simon was saying, is data connection, capacity to pay the services, but also have the mobile adapted to get the right information. So if you do a planning to reach 1,000 farmer, maybe you will reach 200, and the rest we share with other peer.
I will maybe add something that might be a bit controversial, but we have seen initiatives to bring free internet to different parts of the world and different parts of Africa. And often there is a defense mechanism, like people say, okay, if it's run by Facebook, then it's not going to be the real internet. If it's run by private companies, then it's not going to, there will be no protection of data, things like this. So we've seen a few of these initiatives being stopped for reason that seems good from our perspective, but I think there's a greater good in providing easy access and free access to important data than worry about the privacy or the data protection, which is in the Maslow pyramid. It would be probably higher up than having the information on when it's going to rain and how can I bring more food to my table.
That is potentially a controversial statement. I'll be interested to see what goes on in the comments in our section when the session goes live. That brings up a question that I had for both of you. And you were talking about smartphones versus non-smartphones and sort of access to what types of technologies. And I'm curious to hear for both of you, do folks need to have smartphones in order to engage currently with the products you were talking about? That wasn't totally clear to me and if it's just a mobile or if you need a smartphone.
For us, we are focused on basic mobile phone. It is a choice, but because we know that most farmers use basic mobile phone. Some lead farmers do have the smartphone, but the smallholder farmer who live with less than $2 per day don't have the smartphone. So that's why we promote a lot voice messages, and the farmer is linked to our system by a number we promote through community radio. That's our approach. But through the year, we integrate with technologies developed with the integration of WhatsApp in the daily activities. We try to innovate and integrate a tool in our solutions to give more choice to every farmers.
So same answer here. The highest priority is to be universally accessible, and to do so, you have to use still the feature phones and channels of communication that work there. So that's SMS, that's USSD, these strings of characters that allows you to bring a menu on screen. But often, as I said, farmers are illiterate, so then you can also use voice messages. Operators are now starting to develop solutions where you can record messages and send them to numbers like blast robot call messages that we can use as well. But surprisingly, we saw that 30% of our users already have a WhatsApp account. So it means that they have a smartphone, that they have sometimes data. So we also developed a WhatsApp chatbot that allows us to communicate with them in local languages. So we send voice note messages and they can respond by ABC or 1, 2, 3 to progress in the menu. Yeah, so you don't need to have a smartphone, but obviously if you have a feature phone, you often need help because the customer interface is not as easy to use because you need to read, you need to understand things based on text only. So that's making things a bit difficult. So there's a lot of hope that with low-cost smartphones and better connectivity and lower data, all these services will be much easier to access for target farmers.
That makes sense. It sounds like both of your organizations are addressing the reality of the situation, but looking forward to the future and also adapting to the changing technology that you're seeing becomes available. What does digital still need to address the mitigation of climate change, and how can we drive those initiatives?
So there's a lot to do. So for climate change, I think what's important is to have access to data so that the service can be built. So today we are lucky enough to have a lot of, for example, weather data that is freely available. For example, universities or organizations such as Airbus or others that provide free satellite weather data that can be used, and also historical weather data that can be used to design products. But often we lack the data that is more local, meaning the yield, for example, the yield data, the topography, the mapping of the fields, all these things that could help us provide better, more accurate information, and also predict the impact of the climate change on the culture, for example. If we know the historical yield and we can compare this to the historical weather data, then we can more easily predict what's going to happen if there is less rain, for example, during germination stage. So a lot of data is still missing, and that's a key component to build smart and automated services.
Okay, I really agree with Simon with the lack of certain kind of data, but also I think as a digital founder and startup entrepreneur, we need also to include more the traditional experiences and local practices of farmers who understand the climate change question, but in a traditional way, not in our language. And that's something you discover when you go to the field and interact with them. So all this data can be useful if we link these traditional experiences and languages to this innovative that we are promoting, and maybe that will be help and resolve this gap between researcher and startup and farmer. Yeah.
I love that, Amy. Are you seeing that happening? Are you seeing that coming together?
Yes, for sure, definitely. That's something we discover when we this last 2 months. We go to the field and they have their own languages they understand and can explain and do a comparison with between last few years and now, and understand what is the impact of this climate change on their activities. But we really don't, and you see that as an entrepreneur, we really don't integrate it. So that's now something we are trying to get on the table, inviting farmers to know at least how they call some transformations they see due to climate change, and what kind of solutions they have in a traditional way linked to digital solutions. Yeah.
There was a second part of your question, which was on how can we drive this initiative. So I'd like to make two proposals. One is linked to what I said before, is to collect data collectively and make it available. So that can be done by ministries of statistics, Bureau of Statistics in the different countries. It can also be done by organizations like IFAD or World Food Programme, these kind of things. The other suggestion that I would have to help bring the digital to these customers is having some kind of point of service, rural point of service, where that are there to connect the farmers with the different services. Because for us, for example, it's very costly to bring agents to every location, to every village, to explain how to subscribe to our insurance, how to connect. But we know a lot of different startups or different services that need the same network of agents for explanations, for demonstration, for even subscription against a commission. So that's also a role that a larger organization could take, to set up a network of these agents, rural agents, who are trained and equipped with a solar panel for electricity, with connectivity, with a smartphone, to then bring these services to the different members of the community.
As the integrated services, Okay. That's a great point.
Absolutely. I think it sounds like, even though you're both coming from slightly different angles in terms of your organization, you're agreeing on what sort of needs to happen to push this area forward and really provide the best services for smallholders. We have time for about one more question. So I actually was hoping to take us a little bit bigger picture. While this particular session was focused on climate disruptions and how digital can address those, a big theme of ICTforAg 2020 this year is resilience, and the reality that we're all dealing with various different disruptions at any given time. So right now it could be climate and a global pandemic. You'll see this in other sessions throughout the day. So my question to you, our panelists, are what are your thoughts on how and why digital really fills that critical gap when we're talking about concurrent disruptions in agriculture?
Okay, so what we've seen with COVID is, for example, our insurance partners on site, they closed their branches when the lockdown happened, and they couldn't serve the customers. They couldn't also send people on site to, that's actually not the insurer, but the microfinance organization couldn't go send people on site on the fields to do the assessments. So some critical services have been completely disrupted for farmers. So we were happy to see that because we are digital first, because we are mobile first, we've been able to continue working and serving our customers, even though it was a bit less efficient to explain to them things over the phone rather than in person. We're still able to continue growing our user base and serving our customers normally. So I think this pandemic has shown how the most vulnerable are the first to be affected when there are such disruptions. People who sell on marketplaces, people who sell in the street, people who don't have unemployment benefits, who don't have social security. So I think it shed a light on the fact that insurance, I speak about my case, but insurance is one of these tools that can make the community more resilient. And yeah, in the case of farmers, crop insurance is the most obvious solution.
Yeah, I totally agree what Simon is saying. With Jokalante, this pandemic and the resilience question is something we deal with since like 2 years with one of our partners, United Purpose, because it was like some kind of scenario, what will happen if something catastrophic is happen in rural area like in Linguère, how to prepare these people using digital technologies before the catastrophe, during and after, to be more resilient and to be prepared to some kind of problems like climate change or pandemics as COVID. So during this COVID, that show how digital is now necessarily for activities, and it is I'm sorry, the French between the English is just like
No, you've done wonderful.
So yeah, so we know that digital is really important and for now, and the pandemic shows that with this lockdown, because during the lockdown we use our digital tools to sensitize people, farmer, and get their feedback about the impact of the lockdown on the activities. And that's how we bring all their feedbacks and feelings and how they manage and deal with it to organizations who want to bring solution to them for this pandemic. And we work with some organization during this pandemic to reach farmers, to understand what is their needs. We work with the cooperative because field agent could not move directly to them. So we use our tool to give them the information where they need to go, what barriers they need to respect and rules, and what is the price and the availability of certain seeds. But we definitely see some kind of negative aspect, but digital serve to link organization and farmer to be more resilient and help them. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that's something I've noticed too. You know, a silver lining of what's happened because of COVID is that all three of us are able to be joining today from all over the world to have this discussion when that might not have happened before. So the point being is that it's created opportunities in some ways, even though, you know, it's obviously devastating, but that is one silver lining. And so thank you both, Amy, Simon, for talking with us about how digital can address climate disruptions today. I appreciate your presentations and the rich discussion that we've had. I know I have learned a lot from both of you, and I'm sure that our audience will as well. And we want to thank anyone who is tuning in to this session today. We plan to engage with you in the chat while this is live, so please feel free to ask your questions while the presentation is going. And thank you to our hosts, USAID Feed the Future, and to our partners and conference organizers, AMZ. Thank you, everyone. This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The ICTforAg team heard that you all loved our breakout session so much, so we decided to give you not 2, but 3 different sessions in this next block of breakouts. Head to your Whova agenda and pick out which of the sessions that you're going to be engaging with coming up. Don't worry if you can't pick. You'll still be able to watch every single session after the fact.